Christina here with Rise of the Multidimensional Human and lightbodyinc.com. Welcome, welcome, welcome to today's lunchtime chat, or I should say this week's lunchtime chat. The topics that we are talking about today in the lunchtime chat are, one is I'm going to go over 5 tips that I have for empaths to help you keep clear and centered among the chaos that's going on. There's the chaos, of course, planetarily, all this going on, but also we are, many of us are interacting with groups of people, much larger groups of people than we normally would be because of the holidays and stuff like this. So I have some tips for you guys to help you stay clear and keep your sanity among that. And then I'm going to be talking about alternatives to shielding. And these alternatives that I'm going to share with you are very empowering on a psychic intuitive level. So I'm going to be talking about those shielding alternatives as well. And those are both pretty rich, robust topics. So I'm going to probably spend the whole hour talking about just those 2 things. But if there is a question that pops up while I'm talking, it's okay if it's out of left field as well, but feel free to type in your questions in the comments as I go along. And when I pause to actually take a sip of my tea, I will scroll through and look at the questions. I laugh because I recently watched a video that I did, and it was so funny because I picked up my tea and I went to sip it probably about 10 times through the through the video. And it's like, oh, is this going to be the time I take a sip? And I went the whole hour through the video picking up my tea and never sipping it. Anyway, that made me laugh. So welcome everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, thank you. It is such an honor to be able to share these perspectives with everybody. I know that as multidimensionals, there's not a lot of resources out there for us that can address things on the level that that vibrates with us, that is resonance for us. So I'm deeply honored to be able to share these things with you guys. So let's go ahead and hop into it. Now, normally I get into I do the last topic first, which is the alternative to shielding. So I'll go ahead and keep going with that tradition. So let's talk about alternatives to shielding and and the kinds of misinformation that we have in the Lightworker world that actually brings us to the need to shield. Okay, so we'll keep this in the context of empaths. Okay, so what we need to remember that we are these multidimensional beings. And actually, I'll go over these multi-dimensions before I dive in, so there's some clarity here. So when I'm talking about you are a multi-dimensional being, that means that you are plugged into all these levels of who you are, the 9D being the center of the Milky Way galaxy, and then the iron crystal core being the 1D, and taking that even deeper into the heart and mind of the earth. So when these frequencies, the Milky Way galaxy, the impulse waves emanating from the Milky Way galaxy are meeting the frequencies of the earth that are within your body. Those frequencies are coming together like this, okay? And that reality is the rest of these lenses right here, our connectedness as oneness consciousness, the galactic highways of light. This is data sets we get into the third eye. You've heard a lot of people talk about the brain as a tuning, like a radio tuner. Okay, they're talking about the tuning into the galactic highways of light. And if you go into the personal story, this is your soul song. This is the tone that you carried, that was you as you separated from source, like this. And then that song, that soul song, became more dense and created a shape, and that shape became your light body. And then you have your Akasha soul's journey that you've had with that light body. Okay, and this is outside space and time, but at the same time, it's many, 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 many incarnational experiences that we perceive in the Akasha field. And then we have the 4D field, which is right here, which is the belief systems we hold, which is the stories we hold, which is the emotional, mental exchanges that we have in our interactions. All this stuff is contained in the 4D, as well as timelines, influential forces that inform our actions in the here and now. Okay, and in the 4D field. Then we have 3D, which is where spirit and matter come together, and we're these animated beings. You knock on wood, it makes a sound, stuff like this. Then you have the 2D, which is the actual cellular intelligence of your biosuit, but also the cellular intelligence of everything around us, right down to atoms and molecules, the language of atoms and molecules, the consciousness of those. And then you have the 1D, which is that core, iron crystal core like this. Okay, so with this in mind, okay, this is what we have to look at when we're talking about techniques to transcending the need to shield. Shielding could be orbs around the body, it could be flames, it could be charged crystals, it could be spells, because there's people that actually do protection spells over themselves over and over again. It could be cocooning of energy. There's lots of different ways of shielding, which I'm sure many of you guys have all explored your own flavors of. Okay, so why do we shield? We shield because, well, as empaths, we feel very naked and vulnerable in the world, and there's a lot of toxic stuff that feels yucky, 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 right? There's that. And then we shield because it's not safe in the world because there's negative people, right, that aim their stuff at us. We'll feel like that. You know, that's not actually what's happening, but that's what it feels like. And then, and the other kinds of belief systems involved with shielding is that in general, it's not safe in the world. There's a lot of things out there that can harm you, make you, that will toxify you, that will invade you, entities maybe, stuff like this. And what we need to remember is that we imbued this biosuit pre-programmed. So all the safeties and insecurities, both sides of that fence and everything in between that our mothers had while they were pregnant with us, we drank that in like it was us. We fully drank that experience in because we were experiencing those things with her. So if your mom had a very serene and peaceful and happy pregnancy, like, her time throughout the pregnancy was like this, those were the waters you bathed in when you were in her womb. But if she had a lot of stress, a lot of angst, a lot of insecurity and shame and stuff like this going on, that was what was informing the waters that you were basking in the womb. Okay, so upon entry into this world, there's already a pre-programming going on to your experience. So if your mom was really edgy and there was thinkings and there were, a lot of things that created the feeling, sensation, the experience of being unsafe in the world, that is actually alive in your biosuit as a child, emotionally, mentally, like this, and then those patterns get nurtured as you grow up. So you're already kind of like approaching the world with the slant. Like this. So that's one of the reasons, one of the many, many, many reasons why many of us feel unsafe, insecure, and we're not okay being vulnerable with others, with other people like this. So that would lead us to shielding, wanting to feel safe, wanting to relax, wanting our nervous system to be calm, stuff like this. So that's a piece. Another piece is that when in the energy working world, there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of information out there that that is not complete information. It's very truncated. And that strange sound in the background, I have to say this, guys. That strange sound in the background is my dog snoring. I don't know what's going on with her, but her snore, she's a little dog, and her snore has become so freaking amplified. She's louder than my dad snored, which was really loud. So I apologize for that background distraction. Getting back to, okay, so in the energy working world, you learn techniques like grounding, the need to keep your energy separate from other people. You learn the concept that there's energy exchanges that are going on. You learn that you can pick up other people's energies. Like this kind of education starts coming into your world, which is a half truth. It's a half truth. It's true halfway, but then we don't get the other part of that teaching. We don't get the other part of it, the empowering part of it. Instead, we just kind of like walk away with I have to protect myself part of it. We don't get to the other side of where there's an empowerment piece in there. So let's go ahead and dive into the, now that that's framed up. I'm sure you guys can totally relate to what I'm saying. You've shielded yourself, you know, had to do these kinds of techniques to feel safe for yourself in your, as you traverse your world. Let's go into some of the actual techniques that need to be to implement, so you don't feel like you need to shield. One of the number one piece that you have to have, this is the baseline for all practices, is to knowing and loving and trusting your own rhythms, your own inner rhythms. So I mean this way beyond just the breath. Okay, breathing exercises is a wonderful focusing tool, but if you have to go into controlled breathing exercises in order to focus yourself, you're still at that place where you're not in command of your mind thoughts. You're still a victim to the monkey mind, and most of your awareness is still focused on is still predominantly in the bandwidth of the mental field. Okay, so breathing exercises are very, very potent for getting control of the mind and sedating the nervous system. But the pulses that I'm talking about go much deeper than that, and these are the pulses of like the heartbeat. Okay, so you take a few breaths to slow yourself down, and then you tune in and you feel, sense, taste, know the heartbeat. Now, for many people, this may be a journey in itself, getting in touch with the heartbeat. And the reason why that is so is because, like I was saying a moment ago, most of our awareness is in the bandwidth of the mental field. And when your awareness is mostly in the bandwidth of the mental field, you are not aware of what the body's doing. You are not aware of what you are feeling. You are not aware of these other rhythms going on in your biosuit. So we take a few breaths to slow the mind down, to slow yourself down for a minute. Then you tune into the heartbeat. Yeah, see, if you can just take a few breaths and tune into the heartbeat, you are doing really good. The heartbeat is also the frequency of the soul, like this, of your essence, soul essence, like this. So if you can pause for a moment and immediately hear, sense, taste, know the heartbeat, then that means that you've cultivated that bridge between who you think you are and your soul level intelligence. You've successfully connected that bridge. Okay, and that is a resource for you. Now, if you do that, take a few breaths, listen to the heartbeat, and you're not feeling anything, you can't sense anything, then you could take it to the next level. You bring your fingers to the neck pulses. Or you can take it to your wrist, like this. Now, I'm a huge fan of Chinese medicine. And one of the things I learned very early on in getting treated by Chinese medicine is that they listen to the pulses, and they can, depending on the practitioner and the style of medicine that they practice, they can hear up to 84 other pulses within just your pulse. They can hear the pulse of your kidneys. They can hear the pulse of your stomach. They can hear the pulse of your lymphatic system. They can tune in to each of those pulses by just putting their fingers right here. Okay, so when I'm talking about knowing and loving and trusting your pulses, I mean you are cultivating, moving your awareness from that mental field into the pulses, your inner rhythms, like this. And once you do that, once you can sense them, then you smile and you love into those pulses. You start informing those pulses with your radiance, with your presence, like this. And when you do that, if you guys practice, if you're practicing listening to me, when you're doing that, you'll notice that your heartbeat will, if you're listening to your heartbeat, your heartbeat will get really strong. And if you go deeper and maybe listen to the liver pulse, and start radiating and smiling into the liver. So first you hear the pulse, sense the pulse, then you smile or even sing a love song into the liver, then that pulse will get even louder, 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 until your entire body is moving with whatever pulse it is that your awareness is focused on. Okay. Now, when you practice loving and trusting your pulses, they get bigger, they get stronger in your awareness. But the other great thing that happens is that it becomes the predominant resonance in your field, like this. And then so then you're at a much stronger rhythm now, and nothing can come in. No foreign stray energies are coming in unless you're actively engaging it. Okay. And here's the thing about and why shielding. Wait a minute, let me step back for a second. Hold on, I forgot to mention a piece. Yes, so this becomes the predominant resonance that's through your field. And this is actually your home frequency, one of your many home frequencies like this. There's 79 organs in the body. So there's 79 pulses alone just in organs for one to tune into, to know, sense, taste like this. And the more you love into those pulses and trust them, the stronger their resonance is. I know I'm saying that over again. There's a reason why. And so what happens is that your pulse becomes stronger than what's on the outside, the current of what's on the outside. So that could be electric fields, that could be Wi-Fi fields, that could be technology stuff, but it also can be mental, emotional energies of other people. It can be it could be thought forms, but it could also be like people pushing their agenda into you, because that's usually what happens. Human interactions are very sloppy, and people are always pushing their energy into other people because they want you to, engage who they think they are. They want you to engage their face. And usually that face is not real. It's usually a story that they've made up about themselves, and you're to look at the story and not any other part right here. Okay, and this is actually segueing into the second thing that you can do as an alternative to shielding. Oh, darn it, I keep skipping over that part. I don't know why. This knowing your pulses and smiling into your pulses is the alternative to grounding. It's a much more potent way to ground. There's actually studies out there by the HeartMath Institute where they discovered that the frequency of the heart and other rhythms of the body are perfectly harmonic with the rhythms of the earth, with the frequencies of the earth, like this. So it's like the actual rhythms of this planet are alive and living pulses in your body. Okay, so this tuning into your pulses is a very powerful way, very potent way to ground yourself. Hello, darlings. Thank you so much for your comments. Patrick and CC, thank you. Good to see you guys here. So when we are taught these things in the energy medicine world, like I said before, it's like they were truncated teachings. They were teachings that a person got from a teacher, right? And they embraced the teachings, but only thing is they never let go of feeding from the garden of the teacher, okay? And in not letting go of the teacher, they never cultivated their own garden of healing stories, their own garden of experiences. So they're just kind of like photocopying the teachings and passing them on like this. And this is how a lot of people are doing it. So when you are putting these practices to use and you're building your own experiences like this, then you start to recognize there's certain things that don't work. I remember times when I was in extreme emotional chaos and no grounding cord was going to help me feel better. You know what I mean? Nothing like that was going to help me feel better. I remember one time I was rushing my daughter to the emergency room because a fish tank fell on her head, and it was really bloody, and it was like an extreme situation. There's no grounding cord that's going to help that. The only thing that got me through getting all the glass off of her and doing all the things I needed to do to save her eyes and get her to the emergency room was staying calm. And what helped me stay calm is being in my rhythms. It was being in my heartbeat. The heartbeat was in my ears, and I was just staying focused in the rhythms and the now and the now and the now. And every time I wanted to freak out, I would readdress being in the now and my rhythms. And then, something would come to me that was really important to handle in that moment. Right. Like when I found her, she had glass all in her eyes. I mean, there was all this, it was a really serious accident. And it's like, because I stayed in those rhythms and I was able to be in that calm, not calm, but clear state, I had the gumption to take her first into the shower and rinse out all the glass out of her eyes. So she wouldn't, I mean, she was a toddler, so she wouldn't rub her eyes and harm her vision. It was like detail after detail after detail was so clear in front of me that, you know, that I was able to get her everything, you know, get everything handled into the hospital without her, you know, having significant permanent damage. And it's like my logical mind was not telling me, oh, I need to do this and oh, I need to do that. No, it was me being fully in my rhythms and my instincts were I was taking action like this. So you don't get that kind of clarity from grounding cords. You don't get that kind of clarity from allowing your energy to leave your body. You get that kind of clarity by okay, that is, this energetic focus like this is what creates that kind of clarity. Not those other techniques that we're taught in the energy medicine world. So so let me get back. Little story of digression there. Yeah. Okay, so as empaths, you know, we're growing up in the world, and a lot of people are, you know, everybody's in their face. They're in who they think they are, and people want you to buy into what they say, but not really what's emanating, not really the truth that's emanating from their body. And we learn to mimic that, okay, because the truth is not okay. Oftentimes, you know, you'll say something as a kid, and it's kind of like it's like the elephant in the room that nobody wants you to talk about, and you mention it, and then everybody's like, shh, no, don't talk about that, you know. And as a kid, you're like, it's obvious, like, why is that a thing, right? It's because everybody in society is trained to be their face, who they think they are, and and we as children are being trained to also buy into the face of who we think we are, and let go of all these other pieces that are inside of us, like this. Like, how many times have you had a nightmare and they just want you to, and your parents just want you to quiet and calm down, so they'll say, oh, it was just a dream, right? And it's like, you know what, when you start integrating those subtle pieces, those subtle pieces, dreams are not just a dream. The dreams are very significant to what's going on in the here and now for a child and an adult. But that's not the way we're raised. So there's this overlay that's on the reality to, you know, what you say is more important than how you are. How you present yourself is more important than what's really happening within your authenticity, like this. It's like, so we're unraveling that, and because we're into who we think we are, that's a lot of those mechanisms of why we need shielding. When you switch that around, and you decide 100% you're going to stand in your truth and be authentic, which requires transparency, okay, then you'll notice that there's not a lot of this kind of exchanging going on. You're not taking on energies of others because you don't feel like you need to caretake them in how they feel. It's like, oftentimes we're trying to protect other people from how we feel. So say we, you know what I mean? So it's like where this inauthenticity is the normal. When really, when we reverse that and we can be in our body and be transparent, and being completely honest and not feeling guilty about being honest, then our nervous system is very relaxed, and it's much easier to sit in your rhythms. And then when foreign energy is coming to you, your field is going to recognize it as foreign, number one, because you're home, okay? But number two is that you're not buying into, you're not caretaking, as in you're not buying into any of the hooks or drags that people energetically put out, trying to get what they want. You know, usually it's validation or what they consider love, stuff like this. So there's that holding your personal space with integrity piece. Okay, so that means you do not lie. You do not lie. You do not pacify. No white lies. No saying it's okay when it's not. Okay, this is a really important piece, knowing what it is to hold your integrity. Now, I'm not saying like be rude and gruff and tell people off. Well, unless you want to, of course. But it's more of like, you know, like say you're having Aunt Molly's soup and everybody's praising the soup and she asks you how you like it, right? And you don't like it. You'll be like, well, you know, so then that's when you're at the place of, I know I feel this. She's asking me a question, so how do you convey that without hurting their feelings? Now that all depends on the personality of Aunt Molly. If Aunt Molly is a stout person, you can be like, you know, Aunt Molly, you've made the soup before and it was much better. There's something about it this time that's, you know, I don't like. Or, you know what I mean? You can say things in a way where you're allowed to have your truth. And it doesn't need to be the other person's problem. And that's a lot of times what happens is that people make their truth other people's problems. And that's a distortion, that's a manipulation that keeps us shut down and shielded. So when you are able to hold that integrity and be in transparent truth with yourself first, and then with other people, it gets easier and easier and easier. And eventually you can just be that way. And people are totally appreciative of it, you know, and the people who are not appreciative of you being in that level of clarity, they'll move out of your life, or at least limit the exposure. And when it comes to family members, this is really tricky because disempowerment programs are passed down to, you know, from family members and family structures. So there is a level of compassion to have with your family, in that when you're exercising personal empowerment, and that's not the standard operating procedure in your family, you can potentially cause waves if it's not if people aren't on the same page with what you're talking about. Okay. All right. Let me take a sip of my tea here. Thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna scroll down. I'm sipping my tea. I'm gonna scroll down here. What do we have? Thank you, Patrick, so much. Thank you so much for that. And Dana says, that's so true about the grounding cords. I have been practicing listening and feeling my heartbeat and pulse and following my instinct and the natural guidance, and I feel so much stronger in my body. But I am also feeling a lot more, like she's aware a lot more. This is great. I have also found that there are days where I feel several heartbeats in different parts, and pulses change rhythms often. I find it fascinating, and it really resonates with the information, and she really resonates with the information that I'm sharing. Yes, thank you for that. Thank you. Yes, this is such a great piece. The pulses is such a great piece. And this is nothing new, guys. This is ancient shamanic teachings, but sadly, a lot of the shamanic teachings got twisted or truncated, you know, and this piece kind of got lost. People think, oh, going to your heart, just go into your heart. It's like, no. Feel your heart. Engage with the rhythms. You know, when you engage, that's the piece. You need to engage with these rhythms. Really, really engage. Okay, so the holding space, truth, and transparency. So far we have the alternative shieldings we have is knowing your rhythms, tuning in and engaging them, and then knowing your truth, standing in your integrity with transparency. So there's that piece, those two pieces. And then the other thing to do is to claim your space. Claim your systems. And here's the thing about that. The power over dynamics, the power over structures, the inception goes so deep. It goes into our genes. It goes right down to the cellular level, right into the molecules of the DNA, like this, that generational programming, but also that soul's journey programming. Okay. It runs very, very deep. So instead of, putting up shields and stuff like this, what you want to do is claim your body. So you're tuning into your core light self. You feel your heartbeat, you feel your love, you feel your yumminess, like this. And those pulses are, all these pulses are coming into your awareness. I often teach about joining the heartbeat with the pulse of the perineum, like this, okay, so you're in that space. And once you're in that space, you can start feeling that you feel the rhythms of the earth songs like this. There's this yummy, yummy, yumminess with it. And then with that yumminess, that lovely light feeling, you start claiming your systems of the body. You claim your organs, you claim the waters of your body, you claim your endocrine system, you claim your skin, you claim every last inch of your body that you can focus on. And in the claiming of that, some people have actually felt energy, even entities, get pushed out of their organs, get pushed out of their fields, like this. So this claiming practice is very, very potent. And the other thing that it's doing, it is reinforming your subconscious about you wanting, owning, being here, in the now moment. Okay, so the more you claim your vessel, your energy, your emotions, your mental field, all these layers of who you are, right down, right to the outside of who you are, claim your space like this, then you are claiming your willingness to be here now even more strongly. Okay, and a lot of us, especially empaths, you know, there's a lot of times when we didn't want to be here, and that was really the reality that we walked every day, and we practiced a lot of avoidance. So there's that kind of a momentum just from this lifetime that we need to counteract, not just, you know, like this. So claiming your body is a huge piece. It's very empowering. The other thing that happens when you claim your body is that you become very aware of what comes into your field. You become, so whether it's interdimensional or what have you, you become really super aware when energies start to come into your field. And this is important because there's times when other beings, non-human or non-physical beings, want to communicate with you, and the ones that are, you know, with integrity, as in they're here to usually help awaken you, they'll hang out at the edge of your awareness, you know, until they'll wait for you to notice them. And when you are claiming your space and you're bringing your awareness to these levels, you're more likely to notice them versus having to have that cinder block come and drop on your head because you're not paying attention, right? So that's another, this is another plus side to the whole claiming your body and your space and your systems. So there's an understanding with that you are the master of your castle. No one else is responsible for how you think, feel, you know, no one else is responsible for your choices but you. Okay, and then this goes on to the next piece, which is instead of shielding, I would say once you're in your body and you're in your rhythms like this, I would encourage people to start practicing their radiance. Practicing your radiance. That means you are practicing your ability to shine your light. Okay. Now, what I was saying earlier about knowing your pulses, knowing and loving and trusting your pulses, this is already putting into practice radiating your light, because you're smiling into your pulses, you're loving into the organs, into the rhythms of the body like this. Except in this piece here about radiance, what I'm saying is that you're doing that instead of to the rhythms inside, or in addition to the rhythms inside, you're now radiating out like this. So you are radiating out. It's all about how, so all of a sudden your interactions are about how you are showing up or not showing up, okay? How you are choosing to engage. And this also weaves in that practice, that knowing, that strength inside, that your gift of presence is your ability to love into the darkness, to bring love where there is not love, to bring peace where there is not peace. Stuff like this, okay? And this is like a whole nother, as a multidimensional, this takes you, this piece right here will launch you into a whole nother level of empowerment. Because then once you wake up to this piece about the value of your presence, the value of your radiance, once you wake up to that piece, just how powerful that is, then you'll start to notice that these energies that are coming to you, they may seem negative, but very relatively effortlessly, you're able to transform it. You're able to transmute it. You're able to shift it or even wake it up. Okay. So I had for a while a lot of dark beings coming on my path, and it wasn't at all about attack. It was about they were showing up in their form because that was the form that was being asked to get upgraded like this. So it's like the more I held my radiance, the more impactful I found my radiance to be. And then that just kept growing and growing and growing and growing. And now very rarely do beings ever show up in the sense of as being the enemy. Rarely does that ever happen anymore. And this I understand as a journey because we have our shadow work to do, but this is the reality of it. Eventually you reach a place where it's no longer an issue anymore. And that takes me to the next piece, which is there's great power in taking responsibility. Okay, there is great power in taking responsibility. as in you're aware of yourself as this multi-dimensional being right here. You are fully connected to the galactic mind and beyond, okay? You're fully connected to the earth. You know why you want to be here. You know on some level you want to be here now like this, okay? But now there's a matter of stepping into the responsibility of that. Okay? So we're going to stepping into the responsibility of that. What does that mean? Well, number one, that there are no victims. You are not obligated to play the overlaid programs that are on our reality. So the earth and her rhythms, this is the reality. These are the natural unfoldments of pulses and rhythms and harmonics like this. But there's this artificial overlay put on top of that, okay? So we, as those who are resonating with the natural rhythms of the earth, there's a responsibility and actually a gift given to us that we can pull our energies away from those false overlays, okay, and not be affected by them. And when we do that, we actually are kind of like in our radiance, we're sending out the encodements to others to also not have to engage in those overlays, okay? So in this way, there are no victims. There are no victims. You're only a victim to yourself, only a victim to your own blindness. And this is one of the big pieces that shoots people in the foot when it comes to shielding, is that the more powerful of shield you have, the more limited you are to what you can perceive, what you can see. Okay, you cannot, when you are surrounded by a shield, you're not able to perceive past your own self-concept or the reason why that shield is there. Okay, it doesn't matter if it's, it doesn't matter if it's geometric, it doesn't matter if it's an orb, it doesn't matter if it's natural elements or anything like this. You are blinded. You are limited to seeing like this when you have that energy around you, mindfully put there, okay, purposely put there. You can't see past it and you can't hear past it. Okay, if that becomes like a filter that it filters out frequencies that are coming to you, and you can't see past the filter. And you're actively feeding the filter, okay? So you're actively feeding your self-concept like this. So I do have a story about this. I did a training for many years with, these were, all right, so it was kind of like, it was a MESA training, and there's many facets to this training. And one of the things that was a part of this work was actually weaving in elementals into our field, into our energy body as a form of protection. We called them the bands of power. And of all the protections that I've ever experienced, this one was pretty interesting. Still a blinder, it still cultivated blindness, but what it did is that, every layer of the field had that elemental woven into it, and the idea was that as energies or attacks or whatever would come to you, it would get transmuted by that element, and then you would experience it just as the elemental force itself, which would have no charge. Only thing is, when you have a belief system of attack and victimhood, you're going to experience that elemental, and then you're going to put on your own charge. You're going to put on your own spin to it. Okay, so I eventually unwove that from my field after many, many, many years. But we did ceremonies feeding it. I mean, there was a lot of work put into these shields, and in general, I noticed that it wasn't until I took those bands of power off my field, did I notice that I could track more clearly. I can see more clearly into the interdimensional realms when that kind of stuff was not in my field like this. It was clouding my alternate perceptions like this. Yes, I know it is. It's snoring in the background, darlings. Yes. She is this tiny, tiny dog that has this really loud snore, and I'm sorry if that's annoying. I would kick her out of the room altogether, but then she would sit outside my door and growl. She's very bossy. She's a princess, So, okay, I was on a tangent there. Let me see if I can get back to that tangent of, okay, yes, the shielding piece. the bands. So once I actually unwove those bands from my field like this, I noticed that my tracking became much more enhanced. I could see interdimensionally much more clearly, and I was able to pick up on more subtleties that I wasn't able to pick up on before. So as I grew in that journey, I realized, oh my gosh, shielding altogether was actually mindfully contributing into blind spots, intuitive psychic blind spots like this. So these pieces I'm giving you guys here now, each one of these pieces exponentially enhances your psychic intuitive perceptions as you practice them. So as you practice knowing the inner rhythms and loving into knowing and loving and trusting into your inner rhythms, your nervous system becomes much calmer. You're no longer distracted as easily or harnessed as easily by your mental field. Okay, you can start to hear, feel, sense, taste, know the natural rhythms, you know, the songs of the earth, but also the beings around you, the plant people that are around you, you know, the trees, the birds. It's like this whole nother magical level of magical interactions start happening, and you are having a real-time relationship with these beings of the natural world. And this also continues on to the sun and the star people and so on and so forth. You have to have your center. You have to know these rhythms in order to engage in intelligent contact on the stellar networks and beyond. So each of these pieces that I'm giving you exponentially enhance your abilities as you practice them. At first, it'll be difficult, but then it gets easier and easier and easier with anything else. And eventually, the sky could be falling and you will still feel, you'll still be in your center like this. Okay. Oh, that responsibility piece. I'm sorry. I totally got off track with the responsibility piece. Okay. So that those elementals, like there'll be a negative charge coming through, those elemental things that were woven into the field will change it to an elemental, but then you're still getting hit with an energy, and then our own projection, our own dramas of the story, we would tie into that elemental energy, and it would still have an emotional charge, and it'd still be something that we need to clean up. It's still shadow work like this. Okay. So here's the thing about taking responsibility. If you take responsibility for you as an infinite being in a human body on having this experience, you'll understand that you are here not to be your personality, but you're here because your soul has you here. You're here because your soul had a journey, had a purpose for you to experience certain things like this. Now, that's the soul level having designed your life. The way that you go through the life that your soul level designed, that is what's up to your personality. Okay, that's the part that's up to your personality. So when you're in this process of applying these pieces, these alternatives to shielding, you're cultivating your personality to be more in alignment with the truth of your soul. So you're like bridging your idea of who you are with the soul's truth like this, and you're integrating them. So this responsibility piece is one of the last pieces, or is the last piece to this alternative to shielding and understanding. Right now we're on this planet of awakening, and right now we're on this planet of reunifying all these fragmented pieces of who we were, or who we are. Okay, so that means these experiences that our soul has planned for us to go through in this life, that it's about to know all these fragmented parts and bring them together. And how do you reintegrate these fragments back into unity? Is through compassion and forgiveness. Forgiving yourself, forgiving other, however it's presenting to you. So the responsibility piece is whatever is coming to your field, you are taking responsibility for it presenting in your field. Okay, you're taking responsibility for saying yes to your soul's journey like this. Okay, and so when negativity, I'll just call it negativity just to be general, when it's coming into your field, and you say you are radiant and you're transparent and you're doing all these things, and this is presenting in your field anyway, it's presenting in your field with full awareness that your field is not finding it foreign. Your field is not finding this negativity foreign, and it's allowing it into your energy. Okay, now that's the responsibility piece. Number one, you get to why it's not foreign, what part of that is you, and then you do some kind of practice to weave in forgiveness and compassion in with that energy, and eventually that refragmentation will join up, and then that piece that looked like it was negative coming in has now just empowered you even further, because it's brought you more unity within yourself. Okay. So these are all concepts that we're aware of. I'm just spinning them in a different way to understand, so you guys can understand, you know, just the truncation, how it's created distortions in our practices. So just to recap before I go into the tips for empaths, number one, you need to know your rhythms. I can't say that enough. That is so important. And these rhythms that you tune into and add in is that you can get into your soul rhythms. You can hear your soul song within those rhythms. So it's not just the biosuit, it's the totality of who you are in the here and now in this body, like this. Okay, so it's the knowing your rhythms, knowing and loving and trusting your rhythms. Then it's the willingness to be transparent, having commitment to truth, and holding your own integrity, like this. Saying no when you mean no, saying yes when you mean yes, speaking truth, only allowing truth to come from you. No pacifying, no lying, no white lies, none of the you know, acquiescing thing that we do to make other people feel comfortable. Okay, that's not that people aren't comfortable. I mean, like, people are pretty comfortable around me, and a lot of people feel very relaxed and calmed around me. And so it's not like an in-your-face kind of thing. It's a very peaceful, natural, relaxed, this is how I am kind of vibe. Okay, the next thing you do, the next thing is to claim your space, claim the systems of your body, claim your cells, claim your waters, claim your emotional body, spiritual body, blah, 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 all the way out as far as you can that's comfortable. Claiming is very, very potent. And then the other thing is, so claiming was number 4. Number 5 is radiance. Practice your radiance. Allow yourself to bring the love into the dark. Allow yourself to bring forgiveness where there's not forgiveness, to bring peace where there is not peace. Allow yourself to transmute the darkness with your presence. Know that your presence makes an impact, makes a difference. And then the last piece is responsibility. Taking full responsibility for everything that's coming into your field, so you can turn it into an empowerment piece. So you can turn it into something that empowers you, that brings you more, that unifies more and more and more of you inside of yourself, like this. Okay, so those are the main tips for alternatives to shielding that enhance your intuitive, psychic, intuitive abilities at the same time while practicing them. I hope that this is helpful for you guys. I would love to hear some more reports about how this works out for you in your practice. Let's go ahead and move on to knowing the 5 things, the 5 tips that I have to help empaths stay clear. Okay, so we're experiencing a lot more groups than we normally would. We're experiencing maybe more family than we normally would, and I just kind of like did the whole tidbit about shielding. Now here's the thing that I want you guys to play with. Do whatever you want to do as far as what makes you feel comfortable, but if you're in the space to play a little bit, okay, I would say try going into experiencing your family without the shields, without shielding, okay? Because one of the things that happens is that you're guarded and shielded, and subconsciously everybody else picks up on that, and they're going to approach you guarded and shielded. So no one's really having an authentic exchange. You know, there's no real authentic exchange going on. There's no real radiance. It's all face meeting face, and that's not a very fulfilling interaction. We like it when we can feel someone's heart, when we can hear the truth in their soul. I mean, we like deep connection, like really seeing, tasting, knowing somebody like this. So in order for you to have that kind of interaction with somebody, you need to be willing to show up in that capacity as well. So just play around, see if you can show up like that with your family, and see if, and notice if that changes anything. A really important piece to that is listen first. Always, always, always listen, listen, listen. It's not about speaking, it's about listening. And very often when people are super anxious, by just listening to them, you know, let them offload and like this, then oftentimes they'll get back behind their eyes, they'll be back in their body, and they won't be so pushy with their energy. Okay, so if you're going to play with these pieces, I invite you to put that listening ear forward first. Okay, so as an empath, you need to first understand what your empathic needs are. Okay, notice when you're out of your body. Notice when you're kind of like, when you're taking on someone's energy. And that might feel like, you know, maybe you're mimicking their mannerisms. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes it's just mimicking their mannerisms, or you guys go into certain loops that are phrases in the family, stuff like this. It's like, that is you kind of like taking that comfort blanket of those family interactions and just wearing that, rather than actually showing up as your authentic self. Okay, so once you understand what your empathic needs are, it makes it much easier to be the truth of who you are when these other messy exchanges are happening. So one of the so that has to be in place before these 5 pieces can be useful for you. All right, number 1, play hard. I mean, make sure you get all of your angst out, work out hard, do your yoga hard, do whatever it is, run until you're exhausted, do your jumping jacks, do your squats, do whatever it is your play is, and do it as hard as you possibly can. And when you do that, you're expending stored up emotional energy that is not in the here and now. And when you're done with your workout, you're not only having the benefit of the workout, you're having this hormonal cascade come through your system of your endorphins and stuff like this, and you feel really good, and you've got your systems of the body lit up and fired up like this, moving all the stagnant energy out of your system. So you're now even more available, more of your resources are now available to be clear in the here and now. So that working out hard piece is really important. Even if you're out of shape, you can work hard. You can dance your butt off for 5 minutes to a song that you love. Do some, you know, do whatever. Dance totally counts. Dance totally counts. It's really about getting out of the mind and letting things move like this. So play hard, that's a big one. The other thing you need to do, which I mentioned with the shielding alternatives, is make sure you spend time every day sitting with your rhythms. Now, it could be at night, it could be the morning, it could be both, it could be, you know, 3 times a day, it doesn't matter, but sit with your rhythms, love into the heartbeat, love into the rhythms like this. And this will calm and ease your nervous system. It'll slow your frequency down and ease mind thoughts. Okay, you'll start to just feel yourself coming together, gaining your bearings slowly. The other thing you need to do, the other tip I have for you guys, is spend time reflecting and calling back your energy. Okay, so that means you just had an exchange with family. You spent, like, I don't know, half the day Christmas shopping with a family member. Okay, so you're sitting back, and actually this time when you're sitting with the rhythms is probably a good time to do it. After you've tuned into your rhythms and that inner smile and that yumminess, start running through your day, running through all the interactions that just happened through your day. And in the running through the day, you are holding in your mind and your being the curiosity of energy that you may have spent, lost, pushed out, or left behind with another like this. And in the landscape of that, you'll notice there's certain little, you know, maybe you'll see it as sparklies, or you'll just have a feeling that there's a lot of pieces, you spent a lot of pieces or whatever. And then once it's in your awareness like that, you can call them back. You can call them back home like this. Now, I do this a lot with family members, because family members we have a special connection with, we have a lot of history with, and there's a lot of enmeshment that's kind of expected with family interactions. So this is a really powerful thing to practice with your family members, especially if you know, if this is a pattern in your family. Okay, I have a oh, Christy, darling, so nice to see you. All right. Okay, she's commenting about the synchronizing the pulses. So in particular, she's saying about the heartbeat and the perineum. Yeah, that is definitely the most direct way. And from there you can get, that's a gateway to other pulses as well. Thank you, Christy, for that. That's it's I can't even stress how important the pulses is, knowing the pulses. Okay, so calling your energy back, that's another way. A lot of people notice that when they call their energy back, they immediately feel a sense of relief and a sense of calm inside of them. So practicing calling your energy back is very important. You can do this multiple times a day. You can do it just before you go to bed at night. There's no wrong or right way to be doing that, or a right amount of time to be doing it. Okay, and then the other thing we need to do, and this actually is one of those pieces to the alternatives of shielding, is make a commitment, make a full-on commitment to be transparent and honest and truthful. Like, make that commitment full on. And the reason why is because when you're able to be transparent and relaxed in who you are, relaxed in your body, being with others does not take as much energy. Like, you'll notice when you're not used to being around a lot of people, and then you're around a lot of groups, you'll notice there's like your jaw is tired, or you feel like you talked more than you ever talked, and you're kind of just drained like this. And it's because we're not being completely clear and clean with our true authentic radiance with who we are. We're bending it and shifting it to meet people in certain ways like this, and this makes us tired. This makes us very tired. So notice when you're doing that, and see how deeply you can make that commitment to be truthful, 100% truthful all the time, with yourself most especially, and then secondarily with others like this. And this will help with that energy drain that so many of us feel when we're around a lot of people or in groups of people. And then the last thing, the very last thing is, drum roll please. No, I'm kidding. And the very, very, very last thing, which is, I also think is the first thing, is to sit in silence. To sit in complete silence. No radio, no phone, no electronics at all. If you can be out in nature while you stand in silence, even better. If you can be in sunlight, even better, okay? But take 10 minutes every single day to just be in silence. And it's okay if the silence is you in a pondering thing, if you're thinking or anything like that, doesn't matter. It's just that you are not, your awareness is not being impacted by these other sound waves and interactions like this. It's having complete peace. And then and that gives you space to be where you're going to be inside. Allowing yourself space 10 minutes a day, if it's not already in your practice, can literally change the way you interact with humans. Because you have a baseline. You have a baseline that you can visit. Okay. So those are the 5 things. Let me go back over. So the 5 tips for empaths to help empaths stay clear. I'll summarize it real quick. Number 1, play hard. Find an exercise that you can really expend your energy. Dancing is one of my favorite pieces. Those of you who have done workshops with me know that we also use dance to integrate energies and do other things. So dancing really is a magical tool. So dancing is a big piece, and or playing hard, really intense yoga, really intense run, whatever. Okay, get those juices going, get the hormonal cascade benefit of having worked out really hard and reinforming your cells. And then in that, it also moved out all that ecstatic, stagnant energy that's arising in your body like this. The other thing is just to sit in your rhythms, know your heartbeat, bring all the rhythms that come into your awareness, meet them with a smile and your radiance like this. This will immediately sedate the nervous system and help you feel calm. And then then calling your energy back, that's a huge practice. And then committing to honesty, transparency, committing to being completely authentic in who you are with whomever you're with, no matter what. That's the other thing. And then the last thing is to enjoy the silence. Stand in silence for at least 10 days or 10 minutes every day. And if you can do it in nature, even better. Nature walks are great. The other thing I do is I combine these. Sometimes I'll sit in silence, combined with my rhythms, combined with calling my energy back. I'll do all those things in one sitting in 20 minutes. you know. So these tips, you know, do them however you want to do them. There's no, you know, play with it. It's a playground. We can experiment. But inner clarity is so important. And this is a lot of times why so many of us have aversions to interacting with humanity, is because somehow we lose our touch with our own interconnectedness and our own inner clarity when we're interacting with other people. So all these pieces that I gave you guys today are big, juicy nuggets that really will change that dynamic for you. So good luck with that. Thank you so much for tuning in. My hour is up. I will hope to see you guys next time. I'm Christina with Rise of Multidimensional Human.